Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Michael and we're going to be getting right back into some more Reddit stories. If you enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Now, without further ado, let's begin. This story was posted by a deleted user in the TIFU subreddit about a year ago. The post is titled, "I slept with my former boss in front of her husband. My former boss contacted me a few days ago with an unusual request. She wanted to know if I was interested in sleeping with her while her husband watched us. I said I was the wrong guy for the job, but she disagreed and said I was the perfect guy based on a random one-night stand we had years ago, before she remarried. She mentioned that her new husband wanted to watch her be intimate with another man and she was into it. I agreed to discuss the possibility in person, especially when she offered to pay for dinner. I forgot how attractive she was until I saw her face to face. She introduced me to her new husband, who wanted me to understand that all he wanted was to be an observer in the bedroom. He made it sound like the worst case scenario was that I would have sex, which I believed, so yes, I said yes." Fast forward to the intimate encounter. A couple of days had now passed since I agreed. I was in the missionary position when I heard snoring and farting coming from the so-called observer. The husband passed out at some point, but obviously not quietly, which affected my concentration on the act because the snoring was distracting and the farting was unpleasant. My former boss apologized on her husband's behalf before grabbing the box of tissues next to the bed and aggressively hurling it at her unconscious husband. Her aim was off. The tissue box missed the target, prompting my former boss to hysterically scream her husband's name over and over into my ears while I was still engaged in the act and trying to pretend that absolutely nothing weird was happening. The husband eventually woke up after my former boss managed to scream his name at the top of her lungs. Cue all-out war. My former boss called her husband rude for falling asleep. The husband said he had a long day at work. My former boss scoffed and said he had no clue what a long day at work looked like because what he did in one day was nothing compared to what she had to do every day as an independent businesswoman. The husband said he had zero energy for another speech about being a strong woman. My former boss looked at me and said her husband had zero energy on a permanent basis. I asked both of them if they wanted me to stop and give them privacy because I was awkwardly thrusting in silence while listening to them. My former boss said I should ask her husband since the whole thing was his idea. The husband unexpectedly slapped my butt on his way toward the bedroom door and said I should finish and call it a night. I didn't finish, but I did call it a night when I realized that my desire to get away from my former boss and her husband outweighed my desire for pleasure. One night stand should have been enough, but I just had to come back for more, which I now regret. User Chuddyman said, "You should have persevered and finished. It shows initiative. Strong individuals appreciate initiative. She might have been giving you one of those unconventional interview styles for upper management and you failed. Or you may have knocked it out of the park. It is hard to tell in these situations." User Dark Knight said, "I can only imagine OP just asking if he should stop being intimate while he is engaged in the act, while the former boss is just going on and on to her husband, laughing out loud. It's as if she is not even paying attention to the situation anymore and just needs to massacre her husband's ego." This second post was made by a user named No Context in the AITA subreddit a couple of weeks from the time of this recording. The post is titled, "I'm upset with my husband for saying he would choose his deceased wife over me. My husband was married once before me. She was his high school sweetheart. They started dating their junior year, survived long distance during college, and got married when they were both 23, very shortly after graduating college. She passed away unexpectedly at age 26 from an aneurysm, and it obviously devastated him, especially because they were extremely young. They never had children. He contemplated remarrying because he was so heartbroken, but we ended up meeting about 4 years after that. We got married when I was 31 and he was 34, and we have 2 children. Last night we were at a friend's potluck gathering. Everything was going well until one of our friends brought up a new topic that had to do with relationships. She is newly divorced, so it was about her divorce. Others were chiming in with past relationships from high school, college, etc. I mentioned that I never thought I would get married because my luck with men has always been terrible until I met my husband, and I said I felt very lucky to have met him. After a little while longer, my husband brought up his deceased wife. Everyone knows he was married before me and that she passed away. He was talking about her and then dropped a bombshell when he said, "If she walked through that front door right now, I'd pick up where we left off." If I am being honest, it felt like someone put my heart into a blender and punched me in the gut as hard as they could. Everyone in the room could sense the awkwardness that followed. To avoid making a scene, I just laughed it off, even though I think it was still obvious that it hurt me. I felt that if he still felt that way, then why are we married? I've never asked him to get over his wife. I have never had a deceased spouse or even a deceased partner, so I am unsure how that feels. But I would never say that in front of my new spouse. After the gathering, we left, and I did not speak to him the entire car ride home or barely the entire night. I did tell him that what he said hurt my feelings deeply and that we could talk in the morning once I've calmed down because I didn't want to say something mean to him. I ended up sleeping on the couch because he would not leave me alone. It's now the next morning and I barely slept. He is still sleeping. I'm not really sure what to say or what he will say. Update. This may be a long one. I also tried to reply to as many comments as I could, but they were flooding in and I got a bit overwhelmed. I may still try to read and reply to them. Many brought me to joyous and grateful tears. Also, alcohol was not involved in the sense that he wasn't drunk. My husband is 6'3" and almost 250 pounds. He had eaten quite a bit and had one beer. He was practically sober. We talked. I asked him to let me go first and not to interrupt. This isn't verbatim, just a rough sketch of how things went. Me. I just want to say that I do not hate you for what you said. I understand where you were coming from. She died, and it was something neither of you saw coming. I could never ask you to get over her or forget her because I know how much you loved her. She was your first love. I do understand that if she hadn't passed away, we likely would not be together, and you two likely would be. I have always understood this, but to say what you said hurt my feelings and embarrassed me. Even though her coming back from the dead is impossible, if it were possible, would you leave me and the children? It was probably one of the worst things anyone has ever said to me. It is clear your feelings about her are still raw and that it still hurts. I want you to get counseling, and I want couples counseling very, very soon. He then apologized profusely, teared up, and said he did not mean to hurt me or embarrass me in front of our friends. He basically said that he thought about it before he went to sleep and came to the realization that he should have kept it to himself. I mean, I can't be angry about what he thinks. He loved her and she died. His feelings are also valid here. He also said that he would never leave me and the children and that what he said was just a poorly thought out and poorly worded statement. He was not thinking clearly, and when he said it, he immediately felt that maybe it came out wrong. I asked him how he would feel if I said that to him. He said, "Yeah, it's bad. I know. I shouldn't have said it. I wouldn't be happy. I know you aren't happy. I should have apologized in front of everyone as soon as I said it or not have said it at all." I then asked him to think of the children and said, "It's like you saying, hey, if my dead wife walked through the door, I'd pack my bags and never speak to you guys again." And then it really got uncomfortable. After some silence, he asked me if I wanted a divorce. So I asked him why he would think I would want a divorce just to see what he would say. He said he doesn't know. I didn't answer his question and said we needed to look into counseling, that he needed to get counseling for himself, and that we would go to couples counseling. If the answer is no, then I am not interested in moving forward. This isn't 100% about the comment anymore. I need to know if he is willing to make the necessary changes and put in the work to fix what he messed up, because if he were to dismiss my feelings or not want counseling, it means he doesn't think this was that serious and may not take me seriously. Some of the comments also told me to take the kids elsewhere. I agreed with this because it would be difficult to get through this while also parenting. I have a very young daughter and a son who is a toddler. They are currently with my parents for the weekend, and I'll be getting them Sunday night, so this gives us time to really work. He suggested that he sleep on the couch instead of me. I have nowhere else to go. I haven't told my parents because I really would like to keep this between me and him as much as possible. Family and friends jump to judge too quickly and sometimes offer extreme and harmful advice, and it's also embarrassing. Luckily, we both have very good insurance that will help with counseling. I told him that it seems like whatever counseling he received after her death was not enough, and that he was not consistent with it like he should have been. With trauma like that, I personally would have been in counseling for years before I even considered remarrying. He agreed. He was only in counseling for about a year and then stopped once he moved away from his hometown. He never got back into it. He also agreed to both individual and couples counseling. He kept apologizing and telling me he loved me all day. It was also so difficult to be around him because he kept looking at me. I couldn't think. It was like he would try to say something and then he would just stare and not say anything. With the kids gone, there's nothing to really do except talk, so we talked again right before dinner time. He asked me if I wanted him to cook or buy something. To be honest, I still was not hungry, so I just told him he could pick something up for himself and that I wasn't hungry, which prompted the second discussion. I realized that he must feel very bad because he noticed I hadn't really eaten much all day. He kept asking me to eat. I wasn't sulking too badly or anything, just doing my usual tasks but not speaking or eating as much, and because we're home together all day, he noticed this. He asked me one more time to please eat dinner with him, so I agreed. During dinner, he told me that he looked for counselors himself and wanted me to see if I thought they were okay enough and that he would keep looking. Last stretch. After all of that, I told him that we can't really predict anything until we've met with therapists. I don't want him to keep saying sorry, I want work and change. Then maybe we can move forward, but this is the first step. I don't want to just leave him. I'm also not saying a divorce is off the table. I think he is still hurting from her death, and his judgment is very clouded. If he didn't love me, I doubt he would have apologized so many times and looked for counselors on his own. A man who doesn't love me probably would have made me look or rejected going altogether. Many people were suggesting this, but I do not think he doesn't love me. I thought of this myself. I cried about it and thought of my children. I cried more. I'm not staying for the kids. I'm staying because I want to at least try to fix things. If it cannot be fixed, then at least I tried. We were also very close. Some people were asking how close we were prior to marriage, perhaps as a way to gauge the difference between their relationship and ours, maybe to see if he settled. He was always very romantic, caring, and sweet to me. We've never yelled at each other. When we first started dating, he would plan dates, surprise me, and brag about me to his friends. So that's why I am very confused about why he would blurt that out, unless it was just very poor brain and mouth coordination. I also told him that I may get a counselor for myself. I don't think I need one, someone suggested this, but I think he needs it more than I do. And because insurance companies are getting shittier by the year, 3 counseling bills may be pushing it, I don't know. If I do get one, it's because I don't want to potentially resent him or doubt myself. Some people were making attempts to make me doubt myself. Some people in the comments were very nasty to me. I appreciate Reddit hiding comments with many downvotes as they may be mean, but I couldn't help but click. Some of you are very mean and nasty individuals, and I hope you find happiness one day. There could be another update in the future. I am not opposed to making one. Thank you all for your kind words and support. I've also responded to everyone who texted me, which was everyone there at the potluck who has my number. 3 people. They've all basically said the same thing. They can't believe he said that. They feel bad for me. They're asking if everything is okay and that what he said was not okay, etc. He showed me some of the texts between him and his friends, and some made me cry with how kind they were being towards me. They were basically telling him he wasn't necessarily wrong for thinking that, but was wrong for saying it. I told him I loved him as well. I have never not loved him, even for a second. I told him that I wasn't angry with him and didn't want him to suffer for what he said. But I was just hurt and needed him to know that it did hurt me, and he could respond how he saw fit and we'd go from there. That is all for now. I could possibly answer more questions here if you have any. I tried to answer some of the more frequently asked ones that I saw. Again, sorry for this being so lengthy. Have a nice weekend everyone, and thank you again. User Feral 2021 said, I hope for the best for her. An ex-guy friend said something similar when he was at a birthday party with his pregnant girlfriend, and she overheard it. Needless to say, they're not together anymore. User Relentless Dandelion said, man, maybe I'm talking out of my ass here because I've only lost family members and not a partner, but I feel like to decide to marry and have kids with someone new, you really have to get to a place mentally where if the partner you lost did miraculously come back from the dead, you wouldn't want to leave your new partner. In that scenario, the person you lost would be an ex whom you loved very much, but still someone from whom your romantic life had moved on. Otherwise, I feel like you're using that new person as a placeholder, even if it's a permanent one. User Birds and Bones said, I get a bad feeling from the exchange where she says it's like him saying to their children he'd never see them again if his dead wife walked through the door. Then it gets uncomfortable, there's a long pause, and he asks if she wants a divorce. I don't know, but it kind of reads to me like he's realizing that is exactly what would happen in that scenario, and maybe he's not as happy in their life together as he should be. This third post was made in the plus size subreddit about a week ago by a user named Running From Reality. The post is titled, "My parents keep fat shaming me. I'm 27 years old and my parents have been fat shaming me for years now, with the situation hitting an all-time high around 3 years ago. Every single time they see me, they call me fat and ridicule me in front of everyone. I started gaining a lot of weight in university. I was depressed. It was during COVID and I ate as the only way to keep myself sane. I'm not completely overweight, a size UK 14 to 16, but I do have trouble fitting into clothes. And I admit that I have gained weight, but steadily it's been getting worse. It got bad when I had my graduation. I wanted to wear a dress, but for months my mom kept insisting that I should wear my work clothes, pants, and a shirt. I really wanted to wear a dress and eventually went to buy one, but when my mom finally cracked and said she thought I would look fat in it, I nearly flipped. I felt so mad about the fact that she wanted to take away one of the most important things in my life, all because I had belly fat. Then came the family vacation where every single moment my dad nagged about my weight. I would drink juice and he said it would make me fat. I couldn't even buy things with my own money, especially food, and the entire trip I just spent wishing I could go home. He wouldn't stop even though I screamed at him to mind his own business. Ever since he had a health scare, he became a health nut, lost a lot of weight, and always wanted to force me and my brother to slim down. But if anything, it just made us care even less. Now I'm visiting my brother for his graduation, and the entire time he and my mom kept criticizing me for looking fat. My mom even went back to wanting me to wear my work clothes, which I loathed to the max to keep my weight hidden. I twisted my foot the day before too, and my dad kept attributing it to me being fat instead of acknowledging that the curb was uneven and that I was trying to move out of someone's way when I stepped to the side and slipped. I gave up arguing with him as he kept droning on about how I should lose weight. He even made me promise to lose weight, which I told him I would not make empty promises that I cannot keep. That's on top of him nagging me to change jobs and saying I'm not ambitious enough for the future. My family members are generally on the thin side, so I do stick out when it comes to weight. I have tried everything since I was young to lose weight, but whatever I've tried, it doesn't work. If anything, it has given my body more problems like feeling even more exhausted or sleep deprived from trying to run before class while not having enough to eat. Weight is just one of the aspects my parents always compare me to, and I absolutely hate it. I am so sick and tired of being fat shamed. It makes me hate myself so much, but I do not have the energy after work to go run or do workouts because my work schedule makes it hard to find time to do it. I have already cut down on my food and my partner has been trying to help too. But right now, I just feel I would rather die than deal with my parents' health-related nonsense. I had a period where I was so stressed with work that I didn't eat and lost quite a bit of weight. When I told my parents how miserable I was, they gleefully told me they were happy I was losing weight and that I should continue like this while I was losing my mind and contemplating suicide. They were so disappointed when I was happier and gained back the weight I lost after that, which is why I never call them and pretend they never existed. This hasn't been the only aspect my parents have tried to control. They would force me into a religion that I had no love for and make me do things like hang out with people I absolutely hate. My parents have been comparing me to their friends or females in the family, especially when it comes to accomplishments and looks. I always had the sense that they were ashamed of me and wished I could be the holy, smart, beautiful daughter like everyone else. It's a miracle I even have a partner who loves me for who I am and who has even said that I am beautiful despite everything my parents paint me out to be while joining in on trying to lose weight with me. The only plus side is that I live in a different country for work, which gives me an excuse not to deal with my parents by not calling. However, whenever I have to meet them in person, this situation arises. What do I even do? I'm so tired of having to balance everything in my life, and right now my main focus is my job. My weight isn't the primary concern on my mind. User Neville's grandma said, "Good grief, your parents suck." Okay, if you're old enough to go to university, you are certainly old enough to set boundaries with them. I would recommend going very, very low contact with them and telling them why. They will try to shame you and get angry, but that's their problem, not yours. This world is already stressful enough. There's no reason why anyone should put up with this crap from their parents. You know, the people who supposedly love you. This is not love, this is their fear of feeling inferior around other people by not having the perfect daughter. You are already perfect and you need to step back from their insanity. To this, OP said, I've stepped back as much as I can, which is precisely why I hate going back to my hometown or visiting relatives who literally love to poke at my weight. User Shoulder Lumpy said, first off, know that your body is not the problem. There is nothing wrong with your body as it exists, no matter what size you wear. They are the problem. Second, I have a mom who has said fat-phobic things over the years, but not to this extent. My heart hurts just reading about your experience. This is so incredibly hard and unfair to you. Lastly, I have advice. Set boundaries, which is what I've had to do with my mother and also with other people. You're allowed to say, I'm done talking about this, and if you can't respect that, I have to leave. None of us can change what they say and feel, but you can change what you will tolerate. If it gets to the point where the relationship is no longer repairable, you're also allowed to cut them off if that's what is best for your mental health. As for me, I just stay strict about my boundaries. Sometimes people don't like boundaries and will attempt to push them. Continue to stay firm in them. You don't need to tolerate this behavior. Set boundaries. To this, OP said, I've been trying to set boundaries and mostly ignoring them, but when I'm in person with them, it's almost unavoidable. Even when I have my own room, they keep barging in. They have no concept of boundaries or personal space, so the only thing I can do now is just ignore them when I get home. This final post was made in the relationship advice subreddit by a user named Random Token. The post is titled, My GF just called me cringy and weak for having a moment and I don't know how to react to it. So, a bit of backstory, I was lucky enough to have a beautiful childhood with a very loving family. When I was a kid, I played Pokemon Diamond on my Nintendo DS a lot, and I remember very specifically going to this area of the game called Eterna Forest because I loved its music. It's a beautiful piano melody that I would listen to for hours, which actually motivated me to learn to play the piano. Fast forward to today, I have a girlfriend and we've lived together for 2 years. We have a great relationship. We were in the living room. I was playing video games while she was sitting next to me browsing Instagram. I was playing Pokemon Legends, Arceus on my Switch, which is a prequel to Pokemon Diamond, the game I played when I was a kid on my DS. All of a sudden, as I progressed through the game, I reached a forest area and a beautiful arrangement of the Eterna Forest song I loved as a kid began to play. I wasn't expecting it, and I stopped in my tracks to listen to the song. In a mix of shock and nostalgia, I started tearing up. It reminded me of those happy times when I was a kid and brought back many memories from my joyful childhood. I stopped moving in the game and kept silent while I listened to the music as a few tears rolled down my cheeks, fully living in the moment. My girlfriend noticed and asked me if I was okay. I dried my tears and started happily explaining what had happened while giving her this whole backstory. When I finished explaining, she asked, "So you're telling me you're crying over a video game?" I told her it wasn't the video game, but what it represented and the good memories it brought back for me. Then she said, "I can't believe you right now. Crying over a video game is cringy as hell." And she stood up and left for our bedroom. I followed her and asked what was wrong, and she said she was disappointed that I cried over something like that and that she wasn't expecting me to be this weak. She said she didn't want to talk about it further and went to bed. I didn't really expect her to react this way. We've been together for 4 years, and so far she's been a great partner. This is very uncharacteristic of her. She has, however, stated several times that she hates video games and that she doesn't like me playing them. But I stood my ground long ago and told her I'm not leaving my favorite hobby just because she doesn't like it, which she has slowly come to accept. I have found a balance that allows me to play in my free time without affecting our relationship, and until now it has worked just fine. I don't want to overreact and call it quits over something like this, but I am concerned about her way of thinking. Quite honestly, I'm sad that she reacted this way. I was just having a human moment and opened up to her only to be called names by the person I love. We're planning on having kids eventually, and if we do end up having a boy, I do not plan on raising him with toxic masculinity or anything like that. So I'm not sure how to approach this situation. Update. First of all, I wasn't expecting to receive this many replies. Thanks everyone for chipping in and for your encouraging comments. It's awesome how some people have reached out privately in concern. I truly appreciate it. Even the ones who have deemed me calling me a sissy, cupcake, loser, and other things. I hope you all find love and peace eventually. Now, I'd like to answer a few questions. First, I want to clarify that I do not regret reacting the way I did, nor do I feel embarrassment or anything like that. And I won't let absolutely anyone make me change who I am. I will react to things however I feel like reacting. I dare say I'm an emotionally intelligent person, and I know very well how to compartmentalize my thoughts and feelings and not let them take me over. I hate toxic masculinity, and I refuse to let such a ridiculous culture dictate how I act. I'm also a strong believer in communication, and I think this wasn't a deal breaker in our relationship, at least not until we talked about it. Another part that I now think I should have added to the original post for context, especially for those asking about her background. She comes from a family of athletes, herself being one. We're both tennis players and fans. In fact, that's how we met. We share a passion for the sport. She also has a healthy relationship with her family. She's close with her parents and sister, and we see them often. They're all great people. She has been unfamiliar with video games her whole life. I've asked her before why she hates them so much, and she said she thinks they're nerdy, stupid, and a waste of time. I think she's a classic case of hating something she doesn't understand. Have I reacted like this before? Yes, I have, but not too often. In fact, only one time before today. It was when one of my favorite tennis players won his first big tournament after a really close match 2 years ago. I was so happy that I teared up. She's a big fan of this player as well, and we celebrated his victory together. As for her, I honestly don't recall ever seeing her cry over anything in the 4 years we've been together. I talked to my girlfriend after we both calmed down. I began by explaining how hurt and disappointed I was by her reaction and told her that she just couldn't talk to me like that for expressing their feelings because it's just rude and demeaning, very much unlike her. Then I asked what was going on and why she would call me those things. She then proceeded to apologize and explained that it wasn't the crying that upset her. She said it bothered her that I had such a strong emotion about something she really dislikes, specifically a video game, especially since it was a Pokemon game. It made her very angry. She just didn't express it properly and made a very poor choice of words while letting the anger get the best of her. She said she doesn't think I'm weak at all and expressed that she loves me and appreciates everything I do. I asked her if she feels like I do not give her enough attention, and she said that's not the case, but that she would just love it if I never played video games at all and dropped it altogether. I told her once again that unfortunately that is not going to happen because it's a hobby I enjoy. I also told her that I would never ask her to give up on her hobbies just because I didn't like them, so it was unfair that she did that to me. I would be more understanding of this request if playing consumed me to a point where our day-to-day dynamic would be affected, such as me losing my job or if I stopped doing my house chores because of it or anything like that. But that's far from the case. We have a very good roommate dynamic. Our house is always clean and I do our errands without being told to. We play tennis together at least 3 times a week, and sometimes after that we hit the gym. We eat out often, our sex life is good, etc. We spend a lot of quality time together. It's just a healthy relationship in general, which is why I was so surprised by her reaction. I've also invited her several times to join me in playing fun games like Mario Kart or It Takes Two so we can spend more time together while doing something I like, but the answer is always no. She then said she didn't stop to think about how actually meaningful that moment was for me because she got really angry. She apologized for being so dismissive and insensitive and promised not to do it ever again. She admitted that she had some work on herself to do and apologized once more, saying she'd try to be more understanding and patient, which I hope she does. I'm not perfect either, but I'm willing to put in the work to improve myself for the good of the relationship, as long as that doesn't mean giving up on something that makes me happy because I love her. We're planning on playing some tennis later today, so hopefully things will continue to simmer down and this episode won't occur ever again. Obviously, this is a wake-up call for me, but I hope it stays a one-time thing. User Sudden Business said, there's that video of a husband tearing up about his wife of 40 years, with his wife filming him and asking what he's doing. He explains, full of emotion, while his wife pretty much brushes it off. Guess what the reaction of the internet was? Completely hateful toward the wife. I wonder why. Try to tell your girlfriend how you feel again and explain how her reaction made you feel. If she still dismisses you, then that's not your girlfriend. To this comment, user Avas said, yes, exactly. There was an implication there. It wasn't about the wife, it was about the nearly half a century that the wife implied and represented in that moment. just like it wasn't about the video game. In both cases, it was witnessed by stupid, shallow, so-called partners who lacked the wit or depth to realize what had struck the person they claimed to love. User Cultural Shape said, "Tell her that this knee-jerk negative reaction of hers to anything involving video games is infinitely more cringy than your good memories of a hobby that millions of others share. Would she be reacting like this if you teared up over a movie? Well, maybe she would, because perhaps she's coming at this from a place of men aren't allowed to cry ever. But that's not okay either, and you need to make it clear that it's not okay for the reasons you've already stated." To this user, Greatest Comrade said, "It's definitely the latter, seeing as she also straight up called him weak. She reacted ridiculously negatively to something that doesn't even really impact her. She was dismissive, disrespectful, and acted disgusted over OP showing some emotion. Honestly, I don't think I could stay with a partner like this. Usually I don't jump to breaking up, but when your partner shows who they are, you should listen. Personal attacks over something so trivial would definitely make me feel like I can't trust her with my emotions and that she doesn't really respect me as a person. What is a partner if not someone you should trust, respect, and love more than anyone else in the world?" OP's girlfriend not only showed that she has some outdated views, but also that she doesn't care to take a moment to think about how OP feels and instead immediately demeans him. Thank you so much for making it to the end of the video, and thank you also to partner of the channel, GamerSupps. Use code DLAM to support the channel and get 10% off of your purchase, link in the description. I'm sure many of you like me have a hankering for daily caffeine, so go check them out. Lately, I've been a big fan of Titty Milk and Acid Rain, but they've got dozens of other flavors for y'all to try out. Anyway, thanks again for reaching the end, and I hope you all have an amazing passage of the next 24 hours.